Hi, and thank you for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. We made it till Saturday. This is the completion of our second week of our 21 days of prayer and fasting. I just want to take a moment to say if you've struggled at all this week, especially with your fasting, and you've fallen off the wagon, so to speak, or you've messed up, or you watched something when you were not going to, or you ate something that you weren't supposed to, give yourself grace because God does. And what we don't want to do in those moments of failure or mess ups is say, oh no, I failed, I guess we'll just give up. No, get back up and keep going. I will be honest, I set a pretty high goal at the beginning of week 1, and I realized this isn't going to work. So I made an adjustment, shifted what I was doing, and jumped back on. You can do that too. Also, if you're just joining us, if you haven't actually jumped on, we have another week left starting tomorrow. Join us, start today. We'd love for you to join us in fasting. On the flip side, with spending time with the Lord, remember, it's not just 21 days of fasting, it's 21 days of prayer and fasting. If you haven't yet focused on that time with God, if you haven't yet had specific time each day that you're getting in His Word, that you're praying, and you focus maybe more on the fast than the prayer, let's auto-correct that today. It's not one or the other, but it's as one, doing both unified. And so I encourage you, the purpose of this is not just to go without, it's to get filled up with God. So let's do that today. Now, if you joined me all week, you may have noticed that I went to Colossians quite a bit. And actually today I'm going to reread a couple verses that I did earlier this week. There were 2 different days where I read portions of Colossians that kind of went into each other. And I'm going to read the middle section that has a little overlap on either side. This is found in Colossians chapter 3, verses 14 through 16. And really, I'm reading it again to you because this is such a good, clear description of what our life should look like as we're united with other believers. In 14, it says, "And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your heart, since as members of one body, you are called to peace. And be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all the wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts." Let that be our prayer, that that's what unity would look like within our church. As maybe you have some extra time today or over this weekend, I want to actually encourage some of you, all of you I encourage, but some of you might take me up on it, to read through Colossians chapter 3. Paul takes a lot of time in that chapter specifically, and it's about this long in my Bible, so a chapter is not the same as a typical book. It take you 5 minutes to read it. But that chapter 3 really talks about unity in the body. But the interesting thing is, starting in verse 18, it starts to go into within your family. What does it look like to have unity in your home? What does it look like to have the proper order of relationships and roles within a household? And you can read that as a little precursor to tomorrow, because tomorrow at Shrewsbury Assembly, we want to invite you out if you're in the local area in Southern York County. Pastor will be doing our next service, our next sermon on our United series, and he's actually going to be talking about unity within the family, within your household. And so I don't want you to miss that. We invite you to come out at 10:15 or join us online. But I hope that God has been speaking to you through this 21 days of prayer and fasting. If you fell off, jump back on. Let's finish strong, starting tomorrow with one more week. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope to see you Monday for another Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.